Sorry about my last video. It cut off before I was finished. I didn't have enough storage, so I had to delete some things, but just wanted to come on and finish that video. So I was talking about Paul, Peter, David, when they were engaged in sin, when they were acting opposite of what you would think someone who loved God would act. At that point, was God not sovereign over their lives? So Saul of Tarsus, when he was watching the coats for those that were stoning Stephen, a giant for Jesus Christ, and approved of the assassination of Stephen. And as he was going out and killing Christians and dragging them into jail, was God not sovereign over his life then? Did he wait until the road going to Damascus when the glorified Jesus Christ came down and appeared to Saul? Did God wait for that moment to have any control over Saul? Did God wait for David to come out of murdering the husband Uriah of Bathsheba? Uriah was Bathsheba's husband. David murdered him, sent him to the front lines, and then withdrew the troops, and he got slaughtered so that he can hide his affair with Bathsheba. Did God wait for David to come out of that before he was sovereign over his life? When Jesus said to Peter, "You're going to deny me," and then when Peter went off and denied him, did exactly what Jesus Christ said he would do, so he wasn't free to do anything else. He had to deny him. Was God not sovereign over Peter at that point? Did he wait for Peter to come out of that? No, God doesn't just randomly pick people when they turn to him. He has their life planned from the very beginning. Each breath that they take, every day of their lives are written in his book before one of them come to be. He's sovereign over them before they ever make a movement towards God. Saul of Tarsus was in God's mind to become Paul and give this message from before the foundation of the world. So even when you go astray, even when you haven't chose Christ, or even when you're doing things that would cause you to be an enemy to God while you're sinners, God is still sovereign over your life. The glorified Jesus Christ came to Saul of Tarsus, and at that point, in real time, Saul was turned. But God had all this planned since the very beginning. It wasn't just an afterthought to say, okay, at this point, oh, there I see Saul. Let's go get him now. He's leaving Jerusalem, going to Damascus. Let's go get him. Change him. No, this was planned from the very beginning. Every moment in time has been orchestrated, planned out from the beginning. God tells the end from the beginning. Doesn't mean he moves in sequential time like we do. It means that everything's planned out according to his will, and as it unfolds in real time, that is just a result of what he had planned from the beginning. So even when these guys are outside of doing what God's stated will is, they are still under his sovereign control. So as Paul said, even while we're enemies, We are conciliated to God because of the death, entombment, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We can't escape that. It's not God waiting for us to make a choice for him. Now we can say, oh, Jesus controls us now because we stepped into his sovereignty because we're doing the right thing now. No, it's while we're enemies. And even the vessels of dishonor, as proven in the case of Pharaoh and many other places, are under God's complete control. It's not the Christian method that God only controls you or you're only in him when you do something righteous or you believe or you follow the law in order to step into that sovereignty. God is sovereign whether you go astray or whether you choose Jesus Christ. And that's what Christians don't understand. It's limited sovereignty. Therefore, there's no sovereignty at all because everything that God does and Jesus does is a result of you making the right choice, of you stepping in to that sovereignty. And that denies God. God is sovereign over the sinner, over the enemies, and those that never turn to him. That's his sovereign choice. He's also sovereign over those that do choose him. But all of it is a result of God's decision. And this just plays out in real time. We're all enemies. We're all enemies at one time, and that's when we're conciliated, not when we made a decision or did something of ourselves. It's all based on God, and it's all based on the death, entombment, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that is the truth that no human being can come up with. Because again, human beings will die maybe for someone they love or someone who's worthy or someone who's attractive. But God says through the Apostle Paul that while we're enemies, while we're sinners, while we're irreverent, God shows his love. So that there's nothing lovable within you when God does it to show just how incredible his love is. That's when Jesus Christ died for us. And that shows a greater love and a greater understanding that can come only from a revealed message to Paul from the glorified Jesus Christ.